What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1!
and today we're back to answer more questions from you guys, the viewers, the commenters, and another spine-tingling, mouth-watering episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below, put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That WAAAGH tickled my throat and something came up. I'm glad I'm not a space marine because I would have spit acid. But this question comes from Dun Krill. Who would win if a chaos cult and a Genestealer cult started a war in a hive city?
That's interesting because I think it depends on who would get there first. And I think because of that chaos. Because usually Genestealer cults are the scouts for the hive mind to kind of flesh out a planet, see what's there, can they invade it, will there be a lot of resistance. And if anything, the Genestealer cult would probably be infiltrating the chaos cult, and some of the members would already be in there. So that's how I could see the Genestealer cult coming out on top if enough members have infiltrated where they could damage them before the Chaos cult can either summon a demon, create a warp tear, or Chaos would invade.
Yeah, and I think the key there is that it's easier for the Chaos cult to summon their demons, whether it be a greater demon or just regular demons, than the Tyranids are to like attract the Hive Fleet. Because like the Genestealer cult is below the Tyranids. Like they call to the Tyranid Hive Fleet, but if the Tyranid Hive Fleet wants to ignore them, it will.
Yes.
And not to mention that they see them coming. Whereas like you can't see a greater demon once he's summoned, he's summoned.
Right.
Another thing too, if you want to talk about like these cults fighting each other, it would be kind of like the Cold War, where everything is espionage, everything's being like done low key, so that the cults aren't discovered.
Right. Because obviously if they're fighting out in the open and the freaking planetary governor takes word of this, he's going to be picking up that red phone, calling the Powerpuff Girls to come in and slay these guys.
Yes. The Powerpuff Girls being
Space Marines, the Inquisition, the
Sisters
Battle, the AdMech, whoever's the closest.
Yeah.
Not to mention they probably have some type of planetary defense force already on there. So
Be cool though.
yeah.
Next question.
This one is by the Senate. Why not just start a 40K movie with the 30K books, beginning with a summary of the Unification Wars and the start of a Great Crusade, and then go into the events of Horus Rising? So yeah, the thing about a 40K movie is that the lore for 40K is so vast. I feel like everybody just wants to jump into the meat of it, like Space Marines and Chaos and all of this. But I feel like you have to establish the lore before you can get to that point.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of points where you could really start. So I think a 40K movie needs to be not rushed, but at the same time, it's hard because you want to entice the masses, and the way of doing it is to give them Space Marines.
Yeah. If you did want to talk about the 30K era, it would be really good to target or focus on a specific primark. And I think even though like everybody would say, oh, it's Sanguinius, Horus, it would be really nice and really like you would see a huge diversity in like the range of drama if you zeroed in on Angron. Angron's story from like being a gladiator all the way to like his
Apotheosis into a demon
is crazy, and it's like you feel bad for him, and like he connected with like a bunch of people, but he was really just a brute. Like I think his story would be the best. More so than Horus.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is a good way. I never thought of it as seeing it in the perspective of a Primarch. But I think Gilliman would be pretty cool, because you see Gilliman, you see the betrayal, and then you see his quote-unquote death, and then his return, and then you see the Imperium in a new light, 30K versus 40K.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
They should just do all of them.
Yeah, honestly.
All at once.
But then comes the bad thing of like, or they start with a certain Primarch, the movie flops, and then you don't get anything.
Yeah.
So it sucks to be a fan of this and wanting a movie, but knowing that you're stepping on very thin ice.
Yep. Also, like, it's hard to... Well, you know what? I think Warhammer 40K has the privilege, or the not the privilege, but like they're lucky in that there hasn't been any good movie before, whereas like it seems like right now with like the MCU, Star Wars, all of these franchises, they have a base of fans whose expectations are really, really high because they don't realize that, like, you know, you picked up this game when you were a kid, or you picked up this movie when you were a kid. It's not gonna. The new movies are not gonna give you the same emotions, because I feel like that's what's happening with the MCU, with like this new, what is it called, phase?
Phase 4.
Yeah, like like everybody's like, it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. Well, it's because we're all older now, and obviously, like if you rewatch Iron Man,
it's not as good as it was.
No. And I think like with 40K, we're lucky to just go into it and like it's brand new to pretty much everybody. Even if you're a hardcore like tabletop player and you love the lore, the movie itself is completely different.
Right. Although I think the one exception would be Star Wars.
As far as
like the because that's how you read the books and whatnot. But I think the books stem from the movies.
Oh yeah.
It's like you could say like, oh, the first trilogy wasn't as good, or you have all this other like ways to kind of counterbalance the good and the bad. You have video games, you have novels, you have a lot. Like there's even a tabletop game of Star Wars that you can play to basically, if you don't like a certain aspect, you're bound to find something that you do like.
The interesting thing about Star Wars though is that like for us is like we are in our like late 20s, early 30s, so we weren't around when the first ones came out. So to us, 1, 2, and 3 were like amazing because we were kids, while everybody was like talking trash about.
They're like, 4, 5, and 6 is so much better.
Yeah.
But then you look at some of like the lightsaber duels, and it's like, dude, you're telling me Ben Kenobi versus Darth Vader is better than Anakin versus Obi-Wan?
And then now it's just like all they're doing is they're justifying their nostalgia, and you can't take that away from people.
That's true, yeah.
So 40K does not have any of that, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe in another 30 years we'll be discussing that exact same theme.
Yeah, we're still gonna be around.
YouTube will still be a thing.
Yeah. This next question comes from the big one. What do you think happened to my abuela's teeth? Got taken by Gretchen, used for currency in the orc culture.
And you can't really do anything about that. When a Gretchen asks for your tooth, you have to give it.
Yeah. He gives you a shooter under your pillow, though. Or a bomb, I can't remember.
A stick bomb?
With the pin taken out.
Sir Robert Strong, once again with them long questions. This question is about the tabletop. I've seen a couple kitbashing photos online, and I think they're really creative and artistic. But how would that work on the tabletop? Don't you need stats and rules to play a character? If that kitbasher states, okay, I'm following the rules of so-and-so character, and as long as the other players agree, is it good to go? Are kitbashes allowed in tournaments, or is it just an artistic thing that can't be used, except with players, friends, etc.?
You could use kitbashes in tournaments as long as you're using GW products, and as long as like the base size doesn't change.
Right. The other thing too is certain judges might not allow you to use, like, for example, when Riptides were really good, everybody was bringing 3 Riptides, and Riptides are a pretty big unit. But I've seen some people sculpt them like on one knee, laying down, so that line of sight would be much harder to do that. So I think in that cases, those wouldn't be allowed, even though technically it is 100% GW products. It's just sculpted and positioned in a different way. So yeah, it's iffy.
But I have seen some kitbashers that like they would be doing, I don't know, like a Space Marine captain, and they just make him basically have the size of Godscore or something. In those situations, that kitbash can probably not, like it would not, like even if it was just playing on like our tabletop, it would be like, oh come on, you're changing the entire model.
Yeah, even if it's at a detriment to you.
Yeah, which it would be.
Yeah, because it's a bigger footprint on the table, I guess.
Yeah. And they make them like really tall because they put
like
cardstock
yeah.
or corkboard underneath it. Yeah.
It
But
looks cool, but yeah, it's up to the players.
and on Crusade, that's the whole point. I feel like Crusade is like built around kit bashing. It's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. He's got a part 2 to this. Can miniatures for the Killzone game, I think he means Kill Team, be played in regular 40k, or is it incompatible? Say I want an Orc Mini from that recent Octarius box set, can it be played in a regular 40k game?
Yep.
Yeah. For the most part, they have their own stats for both.
Even like Blackstone Fortress.
Yes.
Maybe Necromunda. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it depends. But also, you could just say it counts as this.
Yeah. The Kroot Shaper from Blackstone Fortress was pretty badass. Like, I'm probably going to use him if I ever do a Kroot unit.
Yeah. And lastly, he says, what about the Ultramarine miniatures from the Horus Heresy? Can I use 30k units in my games of 40k, aka Forge World?
Not all of them.
Yeah, for the most part, they are interchangeable. I know, for example, basically half the line of Custodes are Forge World models, and they all have their 40k rules. Some tournaments don't allow Forge World, some do. Usually Forge World is more expensive, both point-wise and money, and also better, so that also kind of tips the scales when you're playing. But it's always best to talk to your opponent beforehand, talk to your game store, talk to the tournament, judges and whatnot before you actually bring them.
Right. Yep. This next question comes from Brian B. Is there peanut butter and jelly in Warhammer 40k?
Peanut butter jelly?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because peanuts don't exist in the 40k universe, but jelly does. Because jelly can be anything. It's just sugar and some type of fruit, right?
Isn't that jam?
What's the difference between jelly and jam?
Isn't one like preserved?
Oh.
I don't know.
Wait, is ketchup
a jelly?
a jelly?
Nah, ketchup is a jam. Or is it a sauce? A smoothie?
It's not a smoothie.
It's blended fruit, ain't it?
No, yeah, but it's not blended. It's
pureed.
Pureed.
What about catsup? Is that ketchup?
Probably. Catsup. Next question.
Psycho Mikey. Who would you guys cast as the Emperor of Mankind in a live-action 40k movie or series?
Me. all you do is sit there.
Yeah. They'll just green screen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because if you're talking about the one that's currently sitting on the Golden Throne, anybody can play him. Dude's just a skeleton.
It's true.
But if you're talking about flesh and bone, alive in his prime Emperor...
Who's the most handsome man that you can think of? I know everybody's gonna say that Superman dude. What's his name? Something.
Oh, Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Did you hear the dude's like a pedophile or something?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
He's into like little, or like younger women, but like obviously not like super young, which makes him weird. His current girlfriend or wife, I think it is now, they first met when she was underage on some movie. So it's a little creepy that he's trying to get into 40k, a game full of kids. Well, there's not that many kids anymore, right?
It's interesting. And you tell me this just before The Witcher starts.
Yeah, sorry, man.
I'm not going to see him in the same light.
It's all over TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok anymore.
Oh, get it back.
It may be.
Who would you say, though? From past performances of other...
Yeah, that's hard to say. Because, like, when I picture somebody being, like, that person, it's like, yeah, you could do makeup and special effects, but for some reason I want somebody that actually looks like the Emperor. And the only person that I can think of that looks like the Emperor is James Franco.
He's too skinny.
Yeah, he's way too skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. But unless it's James Franco playing that one guy from that one movie.
The Bird movie? Or the...
Where he's like, oh, hi, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I could see that. I just had one and then it went away. Because I think...
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito for sure, yeah. We've always said Danny DeVito, yeah.
If it's not Danny, then Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That guy.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he would be a really good Emperor. Just because he already looks old. And when he speaks,
You listen.
Yeah, he has like a wisdom to his just persona. Whereas I think that's what the Emperor requires. Like, it needs a wise person.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. Comment down below. Let us know which character you guys would like to see cast, or which actor you guys would like to see cast as the Emperor, or actress.
That's true.
GW is becoming woke, so.
Oh, you gotta have Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson as the Emperor. She plays everybody.
Yeah, I would watch. Next question.
Oh, this one is by Adeptus Astartes. Which Primark do you think would be the best at playing Super Mario Brothers 3?
Which Primark? I think Lorgar. He's kind of a nerd, always in books, and that's what gamers. That's the stereotypical like gamer thing.
The other day I saw like, how do you tell the difference between a nerd and a geek? And it's like you go up to him and say, the Force is, and the nerd would say, with you. And the geek would say mass times acceleration or whatever. Whatever the equation for force is.
That's a pretty good way. It's like a little breadcrumb of like, what type of weirdo are you?
Yeah. But I would say either Alpharius or Omegon, because they're not as big as the other Primarchs, and their fingers would probably be easier to use a little NES controller.
That's true, yeah. Next question.
John and Liz Hayes. Vampires. Will you do it? What does that mean?
I think we already did.
Did we?
Yeah, you did for the month of Halloween last year.
Check out 40 Facts and Lore on Vampires in 40K from 2020. I also talk about zombies in 40K and Frankenstein's monster and all this stuff.
Isn't it crazy how 2020 is like last year? Like it's gone now. We're about to go into 2022.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, it is. It's getting dark at 4 now.
Yeah. This is going to be the last question by Tristan Gorsuch. What do the Evil Sons orcs think of the White Scars using jet bikes and going fast in battle? Obviously, they're going to be like not as fast as us because our trucks are red.
Yeah.
Our vehicles are red.
But do orcs have like a sense of like, oh yeah, like these guys are pretty cool too, or no?
Yeah, I mean that's what Yarick is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever been a Speed Freak war boss or clan that's been like the White Scars are cool, because the White Scars aren't really about speed; they're just about like mobility, and this doesn't necessarily mean fast, because they're all about like hunting and horseback and all that kind of stuff. But still trying to be tactical about it.
Speaking of which, the new Jagtai model came out. Quick thoughts on it?
I didn't like it. I thought the head looked weird, and then somebody in the on Instagram said that it's because it's meant to be swapped out by like the mask. But yeah, I didn't like it. What about you?
Take the head off. Did you like the rest of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I for one never like unhelmeted characters for the most part. I always feel like faces just don't hit. But it looks okay. No complaints.
Out of all the faces, like yes, there's a lot of like faces for the Primarchs in the 30K line that are just stupid. But the one that I like the most has to be Lorgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorgar and no, I was gonna say Rogadorn, but Rogadorn looks kind of too like, I don't know, military. Like, ooh, I'm a tough guy.
Yeah, for some reason he reminds me of Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think Rogadorn, Bruce Willis comes to mind.
Bruce Willis for the Emperor? He's bald.
He's bald, right? Yeah. I can't see him.
Bruce Willis with hair. That'd be weird.
He did have hair, like in the early Die Hard movies.
Yeah, but he had like receding hairlines. Like they were already back here by the time he started. Yeah. But yeah. Those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, this has been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out of here.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.